Teaching the world to destroyers is something that all of us can relate to. I've said in the title video of this entire channel, no matter what platform you're looking on, that I've caused a lot of self-inflicting pain, but I never elaborated on what that meant. A lot of the experiences that I've had, and this is the reason why I share this kind of story, is to show that a lot of the experiences that we go through that are painful are not the doing of other people, but are the doing of ourselves, and the perception that we allow ourselves to live, even if it turns us into the angle of delusion. What do I mean by that? Where does this come from? Once upon a time, easily 5+ years ago, Hot Damn My Rock, or in other words, Kane Carter, went through a evolutionary point in his life where he went from making funny videos most of the time to making very self-conscious videos.
How do you find yourself? I'm lost, someone asked me. When I was at Zach's funeral, the pastor was speaking, and she said, don't quote me on this because I don't read the Bible, but I kind of know some of the shit that's in there. She said, when I was a child, I spoke as a child, I thought as a child, I reasoned as a child, but when I became an adult, I put away childish things. That's when you got lost. You put away your childish things. I used to dance. I used to paint. I used to draw. I used to sing. I used to do karate. I used to run track. I used to play ball. I used to do a lot of shit. You don't do nothing no more. Why not? I don't have time for myself. Who I sound like right now? The person I'm speaking to. Listen to the psychology of what you made yourself believe. I don't have any time. How do you not have time for the thing that you exist as? You exist. You walk around as this, and you don't have any time for it. How is that possible? When people tell me that, I tell them you sound like a parent that doesn't want to play with their kid. Daddy tired. Daddy don't feel like it. Daddy got to work in the morning. Go ask your mother. And then you ask your mother, she tells you to go ask your father. Nobody wants to play with you. People's problem isn't that they're lost. You don't want to look at yourself. It's a combination of that and caring so much about what people think of you.
And those things help to evolve my mind in recognizing how a lot of the things around me evolved the way I thought. And it brings me to the subject, which is I was teaching the world to destroy me. Everything is perception. Everything I've ever experienced is perception. The good, the bad, the moments where I cried, the moments where I raged out, all of it. Everything I've ever experienced was to build me to this point, and this point is to build me to the next stage. And the same is to be said for all of you. Okay, what are some examples of some experiences where I was teaching the world to destroy me? When I was a teen, the thing that got me interested in psychology was because it was a point in my life where I hated the person I looked in the mirror. Okay, why? Looking introspectively, everybody around me that I looked at, I viewed as powerful people. People that was willing to defend themselves or defend the sakes of others when they saw the need, or in some cases even the want to. I have 3 siblings knowingly, and between the 3 of them, all of them were strong. My oldest brother, pioneer, done almost any form of hustling that I could imagine as a kid. Big inspiration. Older sister, similar. Anybody that was in her friend group or friend groups, they were people that looked up to her, or in some sense, she had a lot of strength in the relationships that she had. Second oldest brother, quiet yet passionate. Doesn't matter what the situation was, he always found a way to do what he wanted to do. Always. And whether you knew it or not, he always had a story to tell. To this day, still has stories to tell, if you only was thoughtful enough to ask. Now, what does all this mean, connecting all of these stories together? I had all the inspiration to think positively But I've had experiences where just because I had a crush on somebody and she had a crush on somebody else, those kinds of things I allowed to create delusion and give reason for me to dislike myself. Or I didn't see or choose to find the strength in myself as a kid early on. So I leaned on those who I did see strength, specifically because of their usefulness. So not only was I a user, but I was weak-minded because I didn't lean on myself, or I didn't have the confidence to even consider it. When I look at these particular situations, as I grew and began to have more complex thoughts, it doesn't change the pattern at all if I don't recognize the root cause. It just makes the problem just as complex as my mind becomes. And many of us do the exact same thing. Many of us go through things to this day that are complex problems, not because the problems themselves are complex, but only because we choose to make them complex. A lot of things are just simply how we feel about them, not the reality of what they actually are. And by choosing to change the way we view reality, we warp everything around us without a single atom in the universe having to move. It's literally the definition of magic. Looking at a cat can be terrifying to one person, but for the next person, it's a joy to add to the day. And it's the same exact thing for both people. So what's the reason of telling this story? Because a lot of things, if it's not financial based, it's psychological based. And I spent over a decade of my life dedicating myself to learning more about psychology, philosophy, and history, specifically because it all started from me teaching the world to hate myself, giving myself all the reasons to skew every action and intention of people against me rather than looking at it as the isolated events they were. And that led me to looking in the mirror as a teen and deciding I have to do something about this if I plan to live a full life with myself. I have to attack this early. And by doing that, I went on an adventure that took multiple visits. 2 years of constant dedication to myself to get out of my own funk, improving myself mentally and physically. Consistent daily dedication for 2 years to get out of it the first time, only to realize that as different things occur, sometimes as humans we lose our way and we have to pivot and go back into the very thing that caused us to become interested in self-growth to begin with. Today, I'm in a place where I'm still growing. No matter what age we are, most of us are still growing. Most of us have something, at least one thing about ourselves that we think we could do better on, or that we don't fully like or we fully accept about ourselves, and we want to improve it, or we want to change it, or remove it through the progression that we know we still can do. And it's not too late, because as I say these words, and for anybody that's watching, if you have the ability to comprehend the conversation that I'm saying, let alone go on the app and find this, that means you still have an opportunity right now to adapt, improve, and make a difference for yourself so you can make a difference for the other people that you care about. For me, I'm in a location that I don't care about. I don't give a fuck about this place. And I say it just like that because I've come to discover that a lot of the things that I used to find tranquil, there's always something tranquil in it, but it doesn't change the fact that I can't stop smelling the smoke around me. So, as funny hood people would say, I gotta get the fuck on. This place is over, at least for me. And a lot of the things that you see that I participate in and include and put on all of the services or streaming platforms that I have is a message to add towards that, not just for me, but for everybody who's interested in changing something or adapting and improving something about their life. So upon the end of whatever you find on everything related to Malcolm or the Psycho Tutor, the conclusion is either going to be me talking about the next stages of my life after I accomplish my goals, or it's going to be an inspiration memory because I died trying.